Why are you still stuck in the same patterns? Why do the same frustrations repeat themselves year after year, even though you keep telling yourself that someday things will be different? Every one of us reaches a moment when we must confront a simple but life-shaping truth. Responsibility is the turning point of every transformation. Nothing changes until you decide that your life is yours to shape, yours to direct, yours to lead. Most people don't stay stuck because they lack talent, intelligence, or opportunity. They stay stuck because they have surrendered their agency quietly, gradually, almost without noticing. They blame the circumstances. They blame the timing. They blame the people around them. They blame the economy or the past or the way things have always been. And with every excuse, they reinforce the same cycle: frustration, disappointment, and a deep sense of being controlled by forces outside themselves. I've met countless individuals who carry dreams inside them, dreams they say they'll start next month, after things calm down, or when I finally feel ready. But readiness never comes, and the dream never begins. Let me tell you a brief story. There was a man who every morning repeated the same quiet promise: one day I'll change my life. He said it with sincerity, and he believed it. But the days turned to months, and the months to years, and his life remained exactly the same. Not because he lacked desire, but because he never crossed the threshold of responsibility. His good intentions became a substitute for action, and his excuses became a refuge from accountability. The truth is as simple as it is uncomfortable. Until you take responsibility, nothing in your life can change. Responsibility is not about blame. It is about ownership, ownership of your choices, your direction, your influence, your future. It is the quiet but powerful recognition that you are not a passenger in your own life. You are the driver. You are the one who decides the meaning you give to situations, the response you choose, and the actions you take next. This is your moment of truth. You can continue to live by reaction, allowing circumstances to dictate your destiny, or you can step into a life governed by deliberate choices and clear intention. In this message, I will show you how to reclaim the authority over your own life, how to break the patterns that have held you back, and how to build a future rooted in responsibility and purpose. If you are willing to confront yourself honestly right now, in this moment, you can begin a transformation that will ripple through every part of your life. This is the beginning of taking back your power. This is the first step toward the life you were meant to create. When you refuse to take responsibility, you do more than delay your progress. You quietly dismantle the foundation of your own life. The cost is not always loud or dramatic. It is subtle, gradual, and deeply destructive. And most people never notice what is being lost until years have passed. They blame circumstances or luck or the behavior of others without recognizing that the real damage is happening within themselves. When you live by blaming others, your goals begin to stagnate. You may talk about improvement, but you take no meaningful action toward it. Dreams become fantasies instead of commitments. Projects remain unfinished, opportunities expire, and your future becomes a repetition of your past. Without responsibility, growth is impossible. You cannot improve what you refuse to own. Your relationships also begin to deteriorate. When you deny your part in conflicts, misunderstandings, or failures, trust erodes. Others sense the lack of accountability, even if they never say it aloud. They feel the weight of carrying what you refuse to face. Over time, relationships built on blame become relationships built on resentment. The ability to connect, to communicate, and to build something meaningful weakens. The inner cost is just as severe. Your self-esteem begins to shrink, not because the world is against you, but because deep down you know you are avoiding your own potential. Every time you shift responsibility away from yourself, you send a quiet message to your mind. I am not capable. I am not strong enough. I am not in control. And with each repetition, that message becomes part of your identity. You also lose credibility not only in the eyes of others, but in your own. You stop believing your promises to yourself because you've watched yourself break them too many times. You say you will change, but you never do. You say you'll start tomorrow, but tomorrow never arrives. Eventually, your words lose their weight. And when your words lose their weight, your life loses its direction. All of this leads to the most painful cost of all. You end up living a reactive life, drifting through your days without purpose. You let circumstances dictate your emotions. You let other people dictate your decisions. You let fear dictate your behavior. Life becomes something that happens to you, not something you intentionally create. You become a passenger instead of a leader. And the language of irresponsibility becomes the soundtrack of your days. It's not my fault. I can't do anything about it. This is just who I am. These statements may feel comforting in the moment, but they are chains. They keep you small. They keep you stuck. They convince you that you are powerless, when the truth is that you are not. We live in a culture that often reinforces this victim mindset. People are encouraged to blame society, their upbringing, their personality, or their circumstances. Entire systems are built around avoiding responsibility. But no matter how familiar or socially acceptable blame becomes, it will never produce growth. It will never build character. It will never lead to freedom. I want you to hear this clearly. When you deny responsibility, you deny your power. You cannot reclaim control over your life while holding on to excuses. You cannot move forward while pointing backward. Every time you say, it's someone else's fault, you hand over a piece of your own freedom. This is not just a minor issue. It is a warning. If you continue like this, avoiding responsibility, rejecting ownership, blaming the world, you will destroy your future. Not suddenly, but slowly, one excuse at a time, one avoided decision at a time, one surrendered opportunity at a time. But the moment you choose responsibility, you begin the process of rebuilding your power. And that process can start today. Responsibility is one of the most misunderstood concepts in personal growth. Many people hear the word and think of blame, burden, or fault. But the real meaning of responsibility is far more empowering. It comes from the idea of responsibility, your ability to choose your response in any situation. It is the recognition that between what happens to you and how you react, there is a space. And in that space lies your freedom, your character, and your true power. Responsibility is not about accepting guilt. It is about accepting your capacity to choose. This principle is directly connected to the 4 uniquely human endowments, the gifts that allow you to rise above instinct, impulse, and conditioning. Self-awareness gives you the ability to observe yourself honestly. You can see your thoughts, your emotions, your tendencies, and the patterns you've been repeating. When you recognize them, you are no longer controlled by them. Conscience provides the inner guidance that points you toward what is right, what is meaningful, and what aligns with your values. It keeps you tethered to your principles even in the midst of stress, temptation, or confusion. Imagination allows you to see possibilities beyond your current circumstances. You can envision a better future, design solutions, and create something new rather than simply reacting to what is. An independent will gives you the strength to act on your principles, even when the path is difficult, inconvenient, or uncomfortable. These 4 abilities are the foundation of responsibility. They allow you to lead your life instead of merely managing it. But they only activate when you choose to use them. And you use them through small, seemingly insignificant decisions that, over time, define the direction of your life. Choosing to pause before reacting. Choosing to apologize when you've made a mistake. Choosing to plan instead of drift. Choosing to have a difficult conversation instead of avoiding it. Choosing to take the first step rather than waiting for perfect conditions. These choices may appear minor, but they shape your character and your destiny. The difference between a victim and a creator is not in circumstances, it is in mindset. A victim believes their life is controlled by forces outside themselves. A creator recognizes that while they cannot control everything that happens, they can always control their response. A victim waits for someone else to change. A creator becomes the change. A victim blames. A creator acts. And the moment you shift from victimhood to creation, your life begins to open in ways you never imagined. Think of the ordinary situations you face every day. In a conflict, you can choose defensiveness or curiosity. You can escalate tension or demonstrate understanding. Responsibility gives you the ability to transform the direction of that moment. At work, you can complain about the environment, or you can improve your contribution, your attitude, and your influence. Responsibility empowers you to become a source of strength and clarity rather than frustration. In family life, you can repeat old patterns or choose patience, presence, and intentional communication. You can break cycles instead of perpetuating them. Every situation, no matter how routine, offers an opportunity to choose who you will be. Responsibility is not a single decision. It is a posture toward life. It is the willingness to say, I may not control everything, but I control myself. I control my choices. I control my response. And that posture transforms your identity. You begin to trust yourself more. You begin to see possibilities where you once saw limitations. You begin to influence your environment rather than be shaped by it. I want you to hold on to this truth. Responsibility is the bridge between who you are and who you can become. It connects your present to your potential. It gives you access to growth, strength, and purpose. It allows you to rise above circumstance and craft a life rooted in intention. When you embrace responsibility not as a burden, but as a profound privilege, you step into the fullness of your own power. There is a truth that many people spend their entire lives avoiding because it challenges every excuse they've ever used to stay the same. You will not change until you decide that everything begins with you. Not your circumstances, not your past, not the people around you. You. Real growth starts the moment you stop waiting for life to make things easier and begin choosing to make yourself stronger. Responsibility is not something you accept someday. It is a shift you must make now, in this moment, within your own mind. This shift begins with the first mental transformation, moving from excuses to personal ownership. Excuses feel comforting because they remove the pressure of action. They protect the ego by placing the weight of change on external forces. But every excuse, no matter how reasonable it sounds, steals a piece of your future. Ownership, on the other hand, is liberating. It says, this is my life, and I choose to lead it. When you take ownership, you stop negotiating with your weaknesses and start negotiating with your potential. You stop saying, I can't, and start asking, how can I? Ownership doesn't guarantee ease, but it guarantees movement. The second mental transformation is shifting from blame to contribution. Blame focuses on what others did wrong. Contribution focuses on what you can do right. Blame looks backward. Contribution looks forward. Blame drains your energy. Contribution empowers it. No relationship, no workplace, no personal goal has ever improved through blame. Growth only happens when you ask, what can I add here? What can I improve? What part of this is mine to elevate? The moment you choose contribution over blame, you become a source of strength in every environment you enter. The third shift is from expectations to commitment. Expectations are demands you place on others, on the world, on your circumstances, on the timing of your life. Expectations breed disappointment because they rely on forces outside your control. But commitment is different. Commitment is a covenant you make with yourself. It is the decision to act in alignment with your values regardless of the conditions around you. When you stop expecting others to change and start committing to your own growth, you reclaim your momentum. You move from waiting to creating, from wishing to doing. These three shifts, ownership, contribution, and commitment, do not just change your choices, they change your energy. They change the way you speak, the way you think, the way you walk into a room. Responsibility gives you a stronger posture, a clearer mind, and a deeper sense of purpose. You begin to see challenges as opportunities to grow rather than obstacles to fear. Your identity evolves from someone who reacts to someone who leads. And your influence expands because people naturally trust those who take responsibility for themselves. You can see this transformation in everyday situations. In the workplace, instead of saying, this team holds me back, you ask, how can I elevate my contribution? That shift changes the respect you earn, the projects you receive, and the influence you gain. In your relationships, instead of saying, they never understand me, you ask, how can I communicate with more clarity and empathy? Suddenly, connection deepens because you're leading with responsibility rather than resentment. In daily decisions, instead of waiting for motivation, you choose discipline. Instead of judging others, you choose self-reflection. Instead of escaping challenges, you choose to face them with courage. And with every responsible choice, your identity strengthens. You begin to trust yourself more. You begin to feel capable, confident, grounded. Responsibility becomes less of a burden and more of a privilege, the opportunity to design the life you've always wanted. I want you to hold on to this truth as the guiding theme of this entire message. Your future begins the moment you stop waiting for someone else to rescue you. No one else is coming. Not to save you, not to push you, not to change you. But you don't need rescuing, you need choosing. Choosing responsibility, choosing leadership, choosing yourself. Your life changes the moment you decide to. Only you can make that choice. And that choice can begin right now. Responsibility is not a trait reserved for a few unusually disciplined people. It is a skill, one that can be trained, strengthened, and practiced every single day. And like any skill, it becomes easier the more intentionally you develop it. To help you build this skill in a consistent and practical way, I want to give you a simple but powerful framework, the Responsibility Reset System. These 5 steps are designed to interrupt the reactive patterns that keep you stuck and replace them with deliberate choices that reinforce leadership, character, and personal power. The first step is pause and own it. When something goes wrong, when frustration rises, or when a challenge appears, your impulse will be to react, to defend, to blame, to justify. Instead, pause, take a breath, and say to yourself, this is my responsibility. This statement is not about claiming fault. It is about claiming ownership of the response. It places you back in the driver's seat. Just one moment of ownership has the power to break a lifetime of reactive habits. This pause is your entry point into freedom. The second step is name the reality. You cannot influence what you refuse to look at honestly. Identify exactly what is within your control and what is not. Responsibility begins with clarity. Ask yourself, what part of this situation can I influence? What actions are available to me right now? Most people overestimate the power of circumstances and underestimate the power of their choices. But when you name reality, you illuminate the path forward. You separate the external noise from your internal ability to act. The third step is choose your highest response. Every situation offers a range of possible reactions. Some are impulsive, emotional, and short-sighted. Others are grounded, value-driven, and aligned with who you want to be. Responsibility means choosing the response that reflects your best self, even when it requires effort, even when it challenges your comfort. Ask yourself, what response is aligned with my values? What would the person I want to become do in this moment? This step transforms responsibility from theory into character. It moves you from reacting out of habit to responding out of principle. The fourth step is act in your circle of influence. Responsibility is never theoretical, it is practical. You must turn your decision into a concrete action, something small, immediate, and fully within your control. It could be making a phone call you've been avoiding, addressing a mistake directly, taking the first step toward a solution, or improving your own attitude and behavior. When you act inside your circle of influence, you reinforce your power. And as you strengthen that circle, it expands. Your influence grows because you have chosen to act where your actions matter. The fifth step is document your commitment. Write down the responsible choice you are making. It can be one sentence, one affirmation, or one clear intention. The purpose is not to create a journal of perfection, but a record of accountability. When you document your commitments, you strengthen your identity. You send a message to yourself, This is who I am becoming. And identity is what ultimately sustains behavior. You live consistently with the story you believe about yourself. Beyond these 5 steps, there are complementary routines that deepen the muscle of responsibility. A responsibility journal allows you to reflect daily on the choices you made, the moments you avoided ownership, and the opportunities for growth. A language check helps you replace reactive phrases, "This isn't my fault." There's nothing I can do, with proactive ones like "This is on me," or "I can choose my response." Accountability micro habits such as stating your intentions to a trusted friend or tracking your commitments help you build consistency. And a daily self-leadership reminder keeps you aligned with your mission, preventing you from drifting back to old patterns. When you practice these steps and routines consistently, something powerful happens. Responsibility becomes less of an effort and more of a natural posture. Your character strengthens, your discipline grows, your influence expands, and you begin to experience the confidence that comes from knowing that you can handle whatever life brings because you have taken ownership of your response. This is the foundation of personal leadership. It is not about controlling everything, it is about controlling yourself. And when you master that, you gain access to a life of clarity, stability, and purpose. Responsibility is the foundation of freedom. It is the doorway through which every meaningful change in life must pass. And as you stand here at the end of this message, I want you to recognize something essential. The greatest limitations you face are not external. They are the moments when you forget the power you already possess. The moment you reclaim responsibility, you reclaim that power. You reclaim your ability to choose, to act, to grow, to transform. Freedom does not begin when life becomes easier. It begins when you decide to lead yourself. Imagine the life that unfolds when responsibility becomes the lens through which you see the world. You stop waiting for conditions to be perfect. You stop waiting for people to act the way you wish they would. You stop waiting for motivation, for guarantees, for permission. Instead, you begin creating momentum from within. You begin waking up with clarity, approaching challenges with courage, and entering each day with a posture of strength. Your actions become intentional. Your decisions become principled. Your relationships deepen because you show up with maturity and integrity. You rise above blame and become a source of stability for others. Responsibility transforms you from a passive participant in your life to an active author of it. When you choose responsibility, you discover a newfound sense of confidence because you trust yourself. You no longer fear uncertainty, for you know you can decide your way through it. You no longer feel trapped by circumstances because you understand that your response is where your influence lives. You no longer feel pulled in 1,000 directions because your values anchor your choices. Your life becomes simpler, clearer, and stronger. And the people around you feel the impact of your character, your steadiness, your courage, your reliability. But none of this happens without a choice. Not tomorrow, not eventually. It happens the moment you decide that your life is yours to lead. I want you to hear these words with absolute clarity. Today, take ownership of your life. Today, choose leadership. Not as a slogan, but as a declaration. Not as a wish, but as a commitment. This choice is the hinge upon which your entire future can turn. The moment you choose responsibility, you begin to step into the full measure of who you are capable of becoming. Let this be your final affirmation, one that captures the essence of your greatest power. Between stimulus and response, I choose responsibility. Say it slowly. Let it settle into your mind and into your character. This single sentence is the foundation of self-mastery. It reminds you that no matter what happens around you, you remain the one who decides what happens within you. It reminds you that your response is not predetermined. It is chosen. It is the expression of your values, your principles, your purpose. And as you move forward from this message, carry this truth with you into every moment of your life. Responsibility is not a burden. It is the deepest expression of personal freedom. When you embrace it fully, you begin to live with intention rather than reaction, with clarity rather than confusion, with strength rather than fear. Your journey does not end here. This is only the beginning. In the next message, we will go deeper into the principles of leadership, purpose, and personal missions so you can continue building a life aligned with your highest self. Continue with me, and let's take the next step in shaping a life of character, effectiveness, and profound meaning.